Hi, this is Brian McHenry of McHenry Software. And what this is a quick demonstration of some new features of our animation and animulation options. What you're seeing here are three vehicles. The middle one, the blue one, is a simulated vehicle with MSmack 3D. The green one to its left is a animated vehicle where we use basically simple spline fits. And then the red vehicle is an animulated, which is a combination of animation and simulation. For this basic demonstration, we're just showing how I can make vehicles do the same thing as a simulation, and then obviously you can take that and do other things with it. So this basic demonstration will show you, well, how did we do this? So first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and stop. And we know this is the simulated vehicle. And of course, when you click on the vehicle over on the right here, you have the various things where you can change the specs, the colors, the interaction with the terrain, etc. Then to match that with an animated vehicle, this is actually the animated vehicle I clicked on, and you notice it goes to the right there. It shows 1 of 8. So if we go back to number 1, see that there's the first position, there's the second position. Now let's just zoom out here. Or let me go. Actually that was a tracking view. So now I will just zoom out to demonstrate how this works. So if we click on the animated vehicle, you see there's position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, position 5, position 6, position 7, and position 8. And for each of those, what we did is basically just to make it match, to show you how you could, as a reference, if we go back to the first position, and we can go to an overhead now just to show you the difference. See, here's an overhead. What we did is basically there's the first position. We put it approximately, and I can actually adjust it a little if I want. And then it changes the positions here. You notice there are now ability to change the position and the heading, just like you do with the MSmack vehicle. Then if we go to position 2, what I basically did is I just ran these vehicles until they were at a position of transition. And if we look at here, we see that the position of transition is about here. We may be a little high on that. You see, you can just at any time go ahead and adjust it a little. Then you can go to the overhead again. Let's go ahead and shave this position. So I adjust it a little. Then I go to the third position. See the frame number down here is 65, and so I set it at 65. Then I did a next one going up the hill, and as you can see, this vehicle we're at 86, 87, so we'll just say, well, 87 we want, so let's go to 87. And now if we go to overhead, we see it's a pretty good match, but we can move it up a little, adjust it a little. Then we go to the next one. And so on. I guess to start at the stage, how do we go ahead and set this up? Well, first thing I'm going to do is the second item that we're going to demonstrate is animulation. And I will show you how we're going to go ahead and delete these vehicles and re-enter them to show you how they are added and how they're edited. But I'm just showing you an overview right now. Oh, one last thing on the animated now, you notice on the bottom here to the right, it shows main colors, so you can change that color to any color you want. Let's say we had a black vehicle, or let's say we wanted to make it blue or green, but we're going with the green. We'll make it a bright green. Basically, it's the same as with the simulation vehicles. It lists the top 6 colors used, and you can change any of them. So we did that for the animated. That was it. Now, if we talk about animulation, basically animulation is a simulation that follows the path, and then you can actually vary it. It makes it so it follows the terrain with the dynamics of the vehicle, and then you can make minor changes or major changes to it so that it follows what you want. So all we did for this is we basically brought in the same vehicle, and how you do that is you check, bring in the vehicle from here. You also bring in you bring in the vehicle from here, like for this example, I believe that's a Mazda pickup truck. Oh, that wasn't it because that's got a dual, but it doesn't matter. We'll say we just wanted to do a Mazda pickup truck. And then we go and check the specs. And we go choose vehicle specs. Mazda. And we can click over here on Mazda. So we got a pickup here. We'll just go with the 2000. Loads it up. Then what we said is over here on the right, you can set the graphic model, the specs, and then you go and edit path segments. So the first segment or only segment we're going to do is we're going to start it at the same position as this, and we're going to set it at 30 miles an hour, and we're going to run it for 5.5 seconds. So it should essentially match this one. We may not have the exact specs to it, and also the integration I think is only at 0.01 seconds instead of 0.001, just to make it quicker. And so what we do is you click down on the bottom here to apply. One other thing you can do is you can do steering. You can grab these and go right or left steering. And it basically takes however long your run is, it divides it into 4 segments, and you can make those changes. Now, one of the other things with animulation is you put a number of different animulations after each other. So you can do segments of your reconstruction to check, is this speed adequate to get from this point to that point, etc. Same with drag. You can put on drag that comes in at certain times. But for now, we're just going to say apply, and if you notice, it will run. You'll see running the MSmack program pop up. It happened to pop up off of the view of this limited screen that I'm doing because I want to not make this too large, but it basically shows you that. And so now when you play it, you see how it basically follows. Now, for this, just so we can see a little closer, I've set up 2 tracking view, and look for tracking view demonstrations, but I've set up 2 tracking views to follow it first from a kind of a side view. And then I set up a tracking view to follow it from a overhead view. You see there's a minor variation. We have a different vehicle, so obviously it's not going to do exactly the same thing, but it's very similar. Go back to this one. And now we're going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and delete both the animulated and the animated and show you how they were created. So let's go ahead, delete that. Delete that. Now we basically just have a smack run with a single vehicle. Just to change it up a little, we'll go ahead and change that vehicle. Let's go ahead and change it to a, change with the specs. Let's make it a Charger police car. Bring in all the specs. Specs look good. When you first load graphics, sometimes they don't have specs in it, but once you use a graphics, it saves the last specs you used. So now if we go ahead and we run this simulation, we see it runs over it. Obviously for this terrain, you know, I basically took an overhead picture. Let me just explain that. Took an overhead picture. And you click on the edit elevation, and I put in, basically, let's go ahead and delete all triangles just to show you. I put in points here. Then we're going to go to edit point, just adjacent to the road so we can run these vehicles all over the same or similar terrain. And I can go ahead and move these a little. See, that's 0. Then I go up. I keep it basically 0 at the intersection. Don't have to, but I just did. Then we go up to 10 feet. We stay at 10 feet for a slight amount. I'm just making these a little more in line, but just showing you how you can click and change. Then we come back down to 0. And then we go to +4, just so it's not a flat. Then we go and say make all triangles, and it makes them. And then we say apply. Now when we go down here, you see you have this bump that we just wanted so you can see it following, and then I can show you how to make it follow. Now, obviously it's the last path. It's slightly different than what we have, so now we go ahead and rerun the simulation. It rewrites the new terrain and reruns the simulation. And you see that we have following the train. So now let's go ahead and let's add another vehicle to mimic that vehicle. What I recommend is we first take it out of track view, and let's just go to an overhead view. Let's go back to frame 1. Okay, so now we're going to go through the steps of adding an animated vehicle to match a simulated vehicle, which you may not need to do, but at least it will show you how to match things. We first go to the Add Other Vehicle model, and when you do add other vehicles, it opens generally in the Objects 3D, which are some M3Ds, and there's also some DXFs out there. We may add more, but you can also then go to MSoft Models 3D and bring in any of these models here. So let's go to that police vehicle, Charger Police, and you notice that it brings it in at the origin. Now, because it has not been generated yet, it does not, it's underneath a hill. If we actually go to a side view, let's go to this view, see how it's showing the grabbers, but you can grab it and bring it back to this other vehicle. And now to make this easier, I'm going to go ahead and go back to overhead. We're going to bring that up till we see the vehicle. Then we can grab, put it, you notice it still needs to be a little bit, so let's set that scale a little more. Set it to 1.1. That looks about right. Could be a little more. But now the other thing, to make this easier, let's make this color down here. You notice black. Let's go ahead and make that green for vehicle 2. Now, so that's our first position. Now, if we actually look at, I'm going to go ahead and do it from the side view. Well, we need to also put in a pitch and lift it up a little. And now it looks approximately at the right position. But now if we follow the simulated, we see there's a change here. So that's at around frame 25. So we go click to add, grab the vehicle, put it here, which is frame 25. And if we go back to overhead, see we put in a wrong angle on that. We can change that very quickly and easily. Then we go back to the side view. Now we go and let's go to the next position. Looks like about here is where it changes, which is frame 68. So let's go ahead and add another. Grab it. Bring it over here. Go to overhead to make sure we're not. So we're looking in 3D. Let's make this frame 68. Let's go back to the angled one. Probably drop that a little. Now let's move up another, let's say to here. So we add another, grab it. Obviously you have to move it up. Go to overhead. Change your pitch. Now let's go to another one. Oh, we also make that frame 107. Now to show you an interesting trick, we're going to go ahead and move this all the way to the end. Let's go ahead and add an end. Move this here. Go to overhead. Go back to side. Back to overhead. So now if we play this, let's go and play it where we're following them. You notice it jumped. Oh, I forgot to. Now, one of the things you notice there is we frame this. This last position should be frame, if we go to the end, I hadn't set frame number. It should be frame number 185. Now watching it again. Now what we wanted to show, the reason I did that is I wanted to show that we can make more detail here. First, it looks like this pitch is a little off. Let's go back to this, go back to position 1. That's also frame 3. Let's make that frame 1. Now we go to frame position 2, which is at frame 25. So we run this vehicle to 25. Go to overhead. That looks fine. It looks like he's a little too high. And let's go to the next one. Frame 69. I'll go to the next one. Frame 107. Now here's where I wanted to show you how you can insert. So now you notice it flattens out. So let's put that one in. So we just say insert. We grab this. Check the overhead. And we make that frame 121. Now we go back here. Looks like we want to lift that a little and pitch it a little. Now let's go to the next kind of transition for the car. If we go with that, we're going to insert again. I guess one thing I'm ignoring here is we could be actually reading the data off of the blue below, but I've decided not to do that. But that's another way if you wanted to match a car traveling. So let's move to that one. So we insert another one. Go to overhead. Move it this way. Go to side. And we notice how it then bottoms out to the final position. We go to our final position. So now when we watch this, see it's starting to match better. You can, oh, we must have a jump there. Let's go ahead and do the positions one more time. Frame 107. Frame 122. Must be this next one's the mistake. No, still there. Frame 123. Yeah, so this should be frame 145. So we just go in here and go 145. It looks like we can delete this one. Let's go see where they say 145. Ah, that's why this 124 should be back here. Or actually, let's just delete that one. Go back to here. Make this 145. Now we go to the next one, where we're going to run this to the last position. And so maybe we'll have one here. So let's go back. Let's insert. Grab this one and make it about the same. Go to the overhead. Go back. Drop it. And then the last one. Oh, and this would be frame 173. We go to the next one. This should be at frame, at message. We're going to make this next one frame 185. Then we can make this one 173. Again, as we mentioned, this will be 173. And now when we can turn on our auto pan and we watch it. That's a quick, how to do a quick animation to try to mimic something. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and add an animulated vehicle, which is basically an animation where you can use simulation to have it follow the terrain. And for this, we're just going to make it match the simulated vehicle just to show you how easy it is. So we basically click on animulated vehicle, add it. We go and look for our police car. Say OK. Say OK. Now you notice again it's at the origin, so we grab that. And it also includes a add simulation to the vehicle. So if you click on the edit path segments, you see it shows you the positions. And we're going to move it to be right here to start off. There is no elevation because it's going to set the elevation based on the terrain. And we know that that run is about a 3-second run, or a 5-second run, so we're going to go to 5.5 seconds, I think it is. I believe it started at 30. And let's make sure our overhead view, it's in a good position. I noticed we got to fix that one, but let's go ahead now and to run the simulation, you said apply. But so we see the difference. We're going to change this color from black to red. And now we go ahead and click on the path again and say apply. And you'd see that it says running the MSMAC, it's out of the field of view. Now when we go ahead and hit play, we see quite a bit of difference. And the reason for that is where we set our last position. See that little box? That's where an actual simulation would end up. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead to the end position, click on that box, or go and select our animulated vehicle. Select that vehicle. And we click on here. We go to the last position. We grab this and put it down here. Go ahead and make sure the overhead's at the right position. It isn't. Now, when we say apply, we go back to our other view. You see how it basically follows the simulation. And that's the difference between animation and animulation. We'll be probably posting up some other additional updates. Oh, I guess one other item in here. If you click on this, you notice it's show simulated box. That's so you can see where the simulation was. We can turn that off, and now of course you won't have the box there. And that's generally how we created the demonstration we started this with, and we will be probably posting up some additional things in the near future. Thank you for watching.